Hey, good day, and everyone, welcome back to our weekly broadcast. It is the 100th episode of the reports thingy, which we do every week, so that's that. And we don't have a special theme, so let's get that out of the way. We did get a lot of recommendations, so that's always nice to have. There has been a lot happening. We've got some replays from CIG, all the while AIIDE is happening. And we see here the first action. Prism Cactus is taking on the expansion of MadMix Protoss. And I thought, well, since both of these coders have been working hard... Oh, and now this probe gets the first kill. No blood drawn, but let's count it as the first blood. I don't know if Protoss... Do Protoss bleed at all? I don't know. Oh, and that's a very quick third. Gets spotted, and immediately the Zealot of Prism Cactus heads back home. And that's a third Nexus before even, I think, the first gateway started. That's pretty ballsy. And Prism Cactus appears to be going for a double gate expansion with range. So, wow, that's not the third, that's the fourth. So it's 4, yeah, and you are going to get a bit of pressure if you're going to build 4 Nexus before even starting a gateway, so that's pretty weird. But probe count wise, MadMix is ahead, and even though it's going to lose a Nexus, that Nexus with its hit point is probably going to allow it to buy a little bit more time before the army of Prism Cactus is going to hit the natural. This cannon wall is going to be pretty badly placed. And now we've got a goon on Zealot action kind of thing with a couple of cannons in the offing, but there is only one gateway for MadMix. And the cannons do sort of defend, but the first one's going to fall. Not really. The probes catch Dragoon, and the Dragoon breaks out of it. So now we've got a 2 Zealot army with a lot of probes on the warpath. And a third base for Prism is started. And Prism has got the army advantage, has got the upgrade advantage, and has got the tech advantage as well. Although a lot of tech has been built here, it's nowhere near that of Prism Cactus. And Prism Cactus is taking some probes as well, so worker lead for MadMix isn't too great, especially... no, it's not there anymore. There is just nothing there for MadMix to defend, and the army that is there does not really want to get in harm's way and try and do something. Nice couple of cannons at this bridge. I don't know what it... well, it's almost like carving up Africa, and the map just control it with cannons and let your economy do the rest. Unfortunately, Prism Cactus has caught up in economy and is also built in a simulator over here. So tech-wise, we've got a shuttle, we've got a High Templar, but now MadMix has got a little bit of army of its own with no detection. Or there are cannons, of course, but this Dark Templar does a lot for crowd control, and that's always nice to have. Just mix a couple of DTs in and you force your enemy to get something observer-like, and well, it costs money and takes time, so until that you are pretty good. And now this base of MadMix is sort of up and running. 4th base started for Cactus as well, but MadMix is on the attack, and even without an observer is doing some damage, pushing back Prism Cactus despite Prism having the way superior army. Storm's not yet done, so this Templar isn't really... Oh, these Templar aren't quite as useful. But here we go, the Dark Templar chasing back the entire army of MadMix, straight back to base, and doing a lot of damage in the process. Have we got an observatory? No, we haven't, so that's lots of cannons everywhere. And the first observer does belong to Prism Cactus, so... Ooh, that's a killer storm. Oh, and now there are orange DTs as well, and... Although there is an observer for... Oh yes, here it is. There is an observer for Prism, so Prism is quite alright. And it looks like Prism has got the lead in this game. So what will we see more? We've got... Oh, a Dark Templar right over here, and no observer there, of course, so that's going to do a lot of damage. Zealots taking hits, probes getting killed. Oh, and finally the observer pops in from somewhere and DT gets killed. But there you see, it's always nice to have a couple of DTs, and mining in this base has been completely shut down. But the economy of MadMix is looking okay, and MadMix, although it's got only 30 army supply, the army of Prism is all over the place. Oh dear, the Dark Templar, another Dark Templar. So harass-wise, I'd say that MadMix is quite okay, doing tons of damage, and I don't know why it's prioritizing the Zealots. Oh, and there is an observer, and the observer doesn't really make it because it gets sent off somewhere else. So the entire army of Prism is caught up on one DT, or two DTs, more likely. But this one's still there, and the observer is over here, and another one over there, so that doesn't really work. Oh, and another one slips in, but now the observer is on its tail and is going to find it and kill it. Oh, and this one over here got killed as well. So, for the time being, it's looking good, but now we've got some more Dark Templars, and the observer is still, or again, late. Here it comes, but lots of Dark Templars. Oh, and there is an observer somewhere here as well. So, I'd say Prism has got things well under control, and no more superior tech. Oh, we've got an observatory. And MadMix has got the eco lead, but is going to lose a base if it doesn't defend pronto. And what can it do to defend with the army of... Oh dear, another Dark Templar. So the probes are suffering horribly. And now with a nice shot of Mr. Reaver doing a lot of damage. But this base is going to be lost, it looks like, as MadMix hasn't got any forces in the area to contend that base. MadMix is harassing all over the place, killing a lot of probes, so eco-wise, situation might not look too good for Prism Cactus, but it's got 140 army supply versus only 130 on the part of MadMix. So, although you are winning on harass, your army is just not up to snuff, with Prism now maxing out, and oh dear, this Dark Templar is doing a ton of damage. And now the question is, what can we do with a carrier? A couple of goons, but that's it. In the way of anti-air, there are no more... Yeah, that doesn't really work. And this one goon gets confused by all the interceptors. So, with more DTs for harassment... yeah, that was another one down. MadMix is trying to hang in there to build up some kind of an army, but Prism is just way on top of this thing. And there isn't a real answer to this one carrier, and this one carrier is doing tons of damage, killing goons. And although a couple of interceptors are getting killed, it's just a one carrier doing tons of damage, shutting down the base. And the eco situation for MadMix is looking dire. But now the carrier's dead. And, ooh, I totally missed that, but fierce battles have been fought over here, and again the entire 155 army supply is pent up over here, doing God knows what. Oh, and there is some harassment going on here as well. So, this entire army appears to be on one control group, and that is costing a lot of time. And now you can see that the entire army does arrive, but with the Dark Templar and the Zealots, this Nexus is now down, and the Natural's getting pretty low, the third still there, the fourth is still there, but the eco situation for Prism Cactus, oh god, lots of Templar falling to the Reaver, to the Zealots, and here comes the army of... Oh, and that's a clutch storm, that's really very good. But it looks like the combat micro is on the side of MadMix, and now the carriers come looming overhead to clear something up. But again, Zealots into the base, and this production facility is all nice and dandy. You can see that this army was 155, now dropping about 30, and even though there are a lot of production facilities, Prism can't really reproduce as quickly as MadMix is cleaning up fighting units with all the Dark Templars again, and even though there are observers overhead, Goons and Dark Templars is a pretty good combination, and now the army is only 120, what do I say? But MadMix is producing a lot, and if we look at the production tabs, you can see that both players are losing steam. That's not good, and again the Dark Templars are claiming lives in the middle of the map. but it still appears like Prism's got the better of this fighting situation. Again, Dark Templar stopping all the ground forces, and that's just very expensive for Prism Cactus. Prism Cactus can't afford it anymore, and you can see this Dark Templar now finally getting shot, and the probes fighting for their lives. Dear MadMix hasn't got the juice anymore to fuel all its expensive gateways, and is losing a base with minerals in it. And again, a Dark Templar sneaking in, but it's got an observer. It's got 2 observers on its tail, and it gets killed. So that was that, as they say. And although MadMix is saving this, oh, that's a very good position. Nice storm going off on the Dark Templar. The carrier overhead is going to do more damage, and without a lot of goons, it's very hard to fight off even a single carrier. And I think that Prism will yet prevail, but another Dark Templar and another one. The probe count is decreasing as rapidly, and another one. Wow, these Dark Templars of MadMix are really a major pain in the ass. And the only thing keeping Prism in this game at the moment, the army supply is steadily falling, are the occasional carriers and the vast superiority in numbers it still has. If we look at the upgrades, both players +2, +2, and +3 now started for MadMix. So MadMix hasn't got all the tech that Prism's got, but MadMix is so on top of the situation with the harass. And again, the map is awash with Dark Templars. It's really insane. And there is virtually... Oh, there is another one over here, and now there is an observer, so this DT gets killed-ish. But the eco situation for Prism is getting dire. And storms going off, but the worker count is about 11 and now 10, and there is just no money at all. This base completely shut down, natural out. And you can see 2 probes here, harvesting gas. Over here, empty. This base shredded, no probes, 9 probes in all. This base hammered into the ground, and although Prism has got 82 army supply, the production tab is surely going to make a difference, because Prism has got no more money. There are 4 workers. The Dark Templars, they don't let off. There are more Dark Templars over here. There are more Dark Templars in the game than probes for Prism at this moment. And these ones get killed. Yes, here they are, but there is just no base with minerals, and you can see MadMix's armies quickly rising. Dark Templars all over the place, and these carriers are dishing out the damage by the bucket load, no mistake about that. But in the long run, this army used to be 155 and now it's only 74, so that's going to take a while. The goons get completely clusterfucked in their minds by all the interceptors, and now they are firing somewhat, and there isn't even money for replacing interceptors. There are just 2 probes, and they have been sent down over here to mine minerals, and still the Dark Templars are streaming in from all angles. Oh, the cannon, but it just walks by, and then the entire army has to be... Oh dear, it's going to mine gas, and this probe is going on... I don't know what it's going to do. It's going to mine gas as well, so Prism is losing steam. Oh dear, I did it again. I can't move with the arrows anymore, so that's a bit of a pity. And now the victorious army of MadMix, which is now doubling that of Prism, is rolling in. The Dark Templars have really brought this game home for MadMix, and that is the GG. Let me close this window, and in this one I've still got some movement with the arrows, which I destroyed by clicking on the menu in the other tab. So, another recommendation, it's Teasing Protoss versus CrazyAI, and again, it is going to be a party, because Teasing Protoss is so good. It is really a shame that Teasing got onto the Cherry Pie team. Well, let's see what they're going to do in the States. But then again, CrazyAI will not be there due to the requirement of making your bot open source. He doesn't like that and didn't participate because of that. Now, we've got some small raiding party consisting of a goon and a zealot going to pester this bunker a little bit. If we look at the upgrades, range will soon be done, so this bunker may in for a bit of a thrashing. And CrazyAI has got the first factory up, setting up a machine shop as well, but these goons head straight back home. And now Teasing is going for a natural of its own, looking good, and now the goons are coming back in again. But CrazyAI is already nearly finished making siege mode, and Teasing hasn't got this great... Oh, this is going to be a high ground tank, and I so love that CrazyAI incorporated that into his AI. After Ice, it's the only bot which uses high ground somewhat effectively, and I say somewhat effectively because this tank doesn't really know what it's supposed to do. It's just mulling around a bit like a mullet, and not being of much use, but projecting a lot of force and threat into this general area. No shells, so good. Teasing with the third base, and CrazyAI trying to harass, but there is a cannon and a DT, so not going to work. Meanwhile, CrazyAI mining up the map, Teasing with the third base and catching a vulture in the process of harassing it, and there is a cannon there as well. So Teasing being really pretty safe. That's a lot of cannons. We've got only one here, but perhaps due to the presence of that one vulture, Teasing thinks, well, let's build some more cannons and make that base safe. CrazyAI mining up spare bases, and that's always a good trick. Now CrazyAI's got a pretty small army for a Terran, notwithstanding Teasing's got an even smaller army, but CrazyAI with about 40 army supply now rolling out, trying to defend this base, but Teasing with 3 goons is all over it, and these goons are much more mobile and with the range, and they do respectable damage, and now kill of the third. So CrazyAI being set back, losing some vultures as well, and the army supply for CrazyAI is not really growing as well as it could. Teasing with the expansions, every expansion's got a gateway. That is so good, because if you play a TVT and the Terran is camping this area over here, that means your entire production capacity is locked in. Now CrazyAI trying again over here, and Teasing trying to contest the map presence of CrazyAI, but with the tanks and the mines, that's not at all easy to do. Large concave, and the concave is interrupted by this river and this high ground. But Teasing still a presence on the map, and is probably going to find this base anytime soon. There will be a tank for defense, and I don't know what that dropship's going to do, but Teasing is producing army. Production tab wise looking good. We are even going to see arbiters. That's so cool. And if anyone knows how to use arbiters, it's Teasing, and catching a couple of vultures, trading them for goons, and trying to keep the mines to a bare minimum. But there are so many vultures. CrazyAI is spending so much minerals, so much money on vultures. There are basically free mines everywhere. Teasing with another base. So it's going to be 5-3. Main for CrazyAI mining out. Some excess forces in here, and a lot of tanks in the natural. So the question for Teasing is now, where is it going to strike? And you can try and contest the main bit of the map with all the mines and the tanks in it. It would be rather more advantageous to try and strike at the natural, because if you can kill a third base like this, a couple of vultures getting killed, that's always a good beginning. If you kill this base, CrazyAI will be near starved because the main is out, the natural will be heavily saturated. Oh, that observer didn't really want to get in there, but still it did. And now Teasing pushing with some shuttles, with an arbiter. Oh, and stasising the workers. That's a rather BM trick, but the problem for Teasing is not that it's got no map control, but rather, oh dear, right in the middle of the map, and now forsaking it because CrazyAI is pushing in the middle and trying to reinforce. Teasing ought to take this third base. That would be brilliant, with storms, with goons, with the zealot run by, and CrazyAI is going to take a fourth base immediately once the pressure's letting off in this area. So CrazyAI fighting really hard, and Teasing having trouble breaking the tank front, and an EMP going off. That's so nice, but it's sort of missed. And Teasing doesn't really commit, because with this large army he could have taken out this small outpost, claimed some territory and then moved back. Meanwhile, CrazyAI setting up shop in the choke of the natural as predicted. And it's good that Teasing has got production everywhere. So, 2 gateways being built here immediately. So Teasing can probably retreat and save the natural, but that means leaving the middle of the map for CrazyAI to bustle in. CrazyAI's main is out, natural is low, third intact, fourth mining. So CrazyAI can do this for a long time on 2 bases, now even starting a 3rd base, and of course, as long as the natural is providing income, CrazyAI is golden, and Teasing with the harassy style doesn't really get too much done. Cleared up the natural, no it did not, and CrazyAI is there with 100 supply army, well this must be about 80 of that. That means that there is virtually nothing there but a minefield, a couple of tanks, and that's it. But Teasing can't really contend the tank force of CrazyAI and is going to lose the main. Is that bad? Yes it is, but it can rebuild, but that's going to cost it. And Teasing, although it's got a large army, it's not really using it. So at this point, as a Protoss, if you've got a maxed army, you've got to trade, because a Terran with a maxed army is much more dangerous than a Protoss with a maxed army. And now Teasing is going in for some unit kills on the tanks and might even get control of this middle base. That's always a good idea, because although CrazyAI is doing a lot of damage over here, it hasn't got all that many resources, and Teasing, wow, would be wise to try and kill this middle expansion, but CrazyAI sending a small force of its Teasing main attacking force out there to defend, and that's what you have got to love about CrazyAI. It can do so much with so few units. It's got excellent squad micro. It can group its units in squads depending on the task they are doing, and even send a portion of an attacking force back to try and help and defend the middle base. Teasing is macroing its ass off. Unit production is right across. Wow, it's really something. And now setting up another base. So macro-wise, Teasing is okay. This natural had a lot of juice in it, so wouldn't really have want to lose it. But Teasing can't commit to a straight-up fight with the tanks. It needs to do something. Zone out something here, or but that's an old story. As long as Teasing's got no upgrades for major engagements like this, it's going to keep losing battles like this. And even with the stasis, it's a neat trick, but you need to grind your army into the enemy's army and try to win battles, or at least keep the units down, because CrazyAI with this max army, with this huge bank, is in a good position. More factories, not only in the middle of the map, but also at strategic places like the high ground over here. And wow, Teasing, although still having a lot of money, and things like this is something that this Protoss force could definitely win. And CrazyAI has got a base with a bit of a perilous setup over here, but the main army is now congregating in the main section. And the goons will kill some vultures, that's not the problem. CrazyAI dropping a little bit, its army not as powerful as it once was, now losing some stuff over here as well, but that won't last at least until there are going to be some siege tanks. And Teasing is reinforcing this push, claiming control of this part of the map, but these vultures of CrazyAI are really a pain in the ass. That's really something, but this base is under control of Teasing still. And CrazyAI's army, although the production is there, it is... wow, where is it? Where is the army? It's over here, setting up a push in this direction. Teasing is just all over the place and trying to make things work, but the army is just... well, it's not bad. Teasing's got a good army, but these mech pushes with the siege tanks are just too much for Teasing at this moment. And Teasing is going to fight hard here. Even knows how to clean up 2 tanks which have been stasis. Lots of stasis going on, but then you need to bring in more forces and make sure this base gets stamped out and kill it. Because if you do not kill it, it will be additional income for CrazyAI once the main army arrives, and then you've got a tank army on your own expansions. And then CrazyAI has got this huge bank, has got the production capacity, nice disruption web by Teasing, but not going to be enough. You need to clash into that Terran wall of death, pay the price and try and do something about it. And now Teasing is in a world of pain, because there is only this base over here, that one over here, lots of probes, and although there is a little bit of army, CrazyAI is pacifying this base with a lot of tech, production capacity, and these goons are not going to be of much use. There are just too many vultures, too many tanks behind them, and even in the air CrazyAI is getting better and better. Having taken this base, I don't know why, The resources certainly don't justify it. And Teasing is trying to mull about and to snipe a building here and there, but it's just not enough. And CrazyAI taking these bases is just going to be in an even better shape. And although you can see that the bank is dropping, Teasing is paying for that with his own army, and the army of CrazyAI is just stronger and bigger. It's nearly double the size, and as long as CrazyAI's got money in the bank, CrazyAI's trading army units for bases, and Teasing is basically trading bases and income for small victories, and is not getting anything done. This attack on this mined out base is insignificant. CrazyAI's got control of all the mining bases, and Teasing is now out of money, trying to retake this base over here, but it's not going to work. Now CrazyAI tripling the army supply of Teasing. 3 goons, 2 pilots and a crazy observer over here. Not going to matter. The map is awash with mines. It's really, there are so many mines on this base. It's insane, and Teasing is now going to be booted from this game. Are there forces in this base? No, not really. There is a small army over here, but it's really rather impotent in the face of CrazyAI with all its mines and all its tanks and all the air forces. So yeah, there we go. We've got batter cruisers, we've got science vessels, and that was the game. So GG, and next game up. So if Teasing Protoss couldn't stop CrazyAI, can Dutchian do it? And Dutchian is going, of course, Dutchian is based on Lukas, and it's as yet unclear what kind of modifications were made to justify its being a bot of its own. But for now, it's going to play Protoss versus CrazyAI, and Scouting Probe returning, going to mine, not going to get killed, a little bit of efficiency squeezed out of that. I like that. CrazyAI with a nice war and blocking out its Scouting SCV. That's not how it's supposed to be, but got a lot of safety from that, and has got 2 factories, and if I'm not very much mistaken, small peak, yes, that is the siege mode. And now Dutchian is going for it with a brace of goons, but there is a tank on the high ground, and that means that goons don't like to play. Dutchian taking advantage of the situation of having CrazyAI contained. CrazyAI setting up this wall at the main choke instead of at the natural choke, what would be a slightly more effective setup. CrazyAI is delayed in the natural, and although it's got a nice handful of units to try and perhaps push, Dutchian's got the 3rd Nexus operational, worker transfer in progress, has got, oh I say, what's this? That's a very quick fleet beacon, and that's going to be, might even be a carrier, and especially with this, yes, carrier has arrived, and what will CrazyAI do? CrazyAI is going to push. And CrazyAI is going to push off a 1 base, and Dutchian, if you look at the top left, has started a 4th base already. So Dutchian has got the inferior army, and that is 14 army supplying ground units. So CrazyAI is going to be able to blast that right from the map, but there is very little in the way of anti-air, and CrazyAI hasn't even got an armory yet. So we've got how many carriers? We've got 1 somewhere. I don't know where it is. I saw it. You saw it too, didn't you? Oh, it's over here. It's attacking the main base while there is a tank falls on the doorstep of its natural. Now we've got 2 starports, and I must assume that's going to be 2 carriers. And CrazyAI is not taking any chances, just going to proceed with the push. And wow, Dutchian is trying to kill this 1 turret, losing some interceptors in the process. Now CrazyAI's got these Goliaths, and this carrier has to be really rather careful. Oh, I say. Meanwhile, Nexus in the natural has been stamped out. Workers have still managed to squeeze out towards this base, and that's a 3 versus 1 base situation still. There is 1 carrier now with the defense of the realm, and there are no SCVs, so I think that if this Goliath snuffs it, there is very little anti-air in this expeditionary force of CrazyAI. Oh, 2 more, but the first Goliath may yet fall. But the carriers have got more juicy targets in mind, namely the tanks. And these Goliaths, there are only 3 of them. Are more coming? Well, more should be coming. More are coming, but the carriers, and now with the ground forces, are going to tear straight into this Terran army. And now are going off towards the main again. And that is not good, although there are a lot of Goliaths by now. CrazyAI still doing everything on one base, and the main is about halfway depleted already. That's not good. Fourth base up for Dutchian. Dutchian really playing like a masterful bot. Look at all this production. Hello. That's really beautiful. Now the carriers are in the main base, and although their prioritizing is not as good as that of, say, Ximp, they are still disrupting a lot of things, and by God, I don't know why they want to kill the refinery. Well, if they kill the refinery, there is no gas income for CrazyAI, but I don't think a refinery is worth 2 carriers, especially not at this point, where there is a large invasion force at your doorstep. Now there are 2 more carriers rather, and Small Peak is the increased capacity upgrade is there, and the +1 air attack is there as well. So Dutchian in an okay position, taking the base over here, and CrazyAI still not deigning to take this base. Main is getting preciously low, and if this push does not work, and this carrier is so stupid, it's just catching fire over there, it's not good. It's so... And that is what I like about Lukas. It's just taking the heat and trying to keep this force as small as possible. It knows it has got the advantage in workers and economy. No cannon over here, so that's going to be a little bit of an issue for these probes. A lethal issue, if I'm not very much mistaken. And now these tanks are doing so much damage. CrazyAI's got +1 damage, so that means a lot of her gateway units. These carriers try to do what they can, kill another tank. That's good. And the carriers, well, CrazyAI finally got the guts to build a natural, and that's right on time because the main is right out of money. Dutchian, though, has got 2 carriers and some gateway units, and the tank count is falling, which will mean more effective gateway units. And these carriers aren't quite as effective, but they are still killing stuff left, right and center. First the vultures, and the prioritizing is really wacky, but now all the tanks are gone, and Dutchian is going to reclaim its natural. The gateway, the Stargate is flashing. There is even a spare carrier over here, which didn't even bother with the defense. And now Dutchian's got a 50 supply army. Let's see how much will be left of that once that minefield has been clear. Oh god. That's going to be rather painful. 1 carrier is going to join the warpath. Oh, and this is... soup, blue soup. Clean up in aisle 3. Boom. Yeah, there you go. That was rather painful. But still, Dutchian's got the map, and CrazyAI's only got 1 badly beleaguered main. The natural with a lot of SCVs in it, but that's not going to work. I can tell you that. And Dutchian has got all the production in the main. No more carriers, looks like. What is it building? Just a lot of gateway units, the odd interceptor, and of course CrazyAI can no longer contend on 1 base versus 1, 2, 3, 4, soon to be 5, and that's a gateway. So macro-wise, Dutchian way ahead of CrazyAI, and CrazyAI with a nice push, but did he really prevail until the end? And I am just going to call the GG because this game is over. GG. A recommendation I got was Egbert versus Purple Wave. And, well, there we go. So, Purple Wave by Dan Gant, of course, also involved in the Cherry Pie project, so won't be seeing him in any major tournament with his own bot anytime soon. That's a pity, because it is pretty good. And then we've got Egbert, which is, well, still kicking, trying to make it work. A lot of experience has been sunk into this bot, and Javier from the University of Carlos III from Madrid is working hard, and the main challenge is putting together a main theme, because the bot has got so many cool functionalities, but it just hasn't really gotten overall gameplay which can contend with the big guns yet. Now Purple Wave sending out a lot of goons and is going for some kind of Templar tech, all of 1 base, like did CrazyAI. And it's just content for the moment to contain, but once this bio army, yes, there we go, once it gets uppity, it can do a lot of damage with these Stim Marines. You cannot really contest that as a Protoss. And a mineral only might not look like the ideal choice, but if you are going to play bio, you don't need all that much gas anyway. So that will be that. Some more medics might be in place, but oh wow! Ooh, the Dark Templar swiping 5 Marines before another scan is ready. With another comsat, of course, that's going to be much better. And with all these barracks, Egbert can put out a large army rather quickly. Versus Templar, I don't really... Oh, Storm is ready. Let's watch this in normal speed. We've got 2 Dark Templars. We've got 1 or 2 scans over here. The scan, though, is rather late, but now the Marines caught onto it. And not even a single medic got killed by that Storm. So, Purple Wave putting on the pressure, but Egbert's got the superior army, and Purple Wave knows that it's got to have... Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, the scans are so late. There is a comsat. Why isn't Egbert scanning earlier? You can actually, as an AI, see these Dark Templars, even if you're not aware of them. You can see... Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh, and now that Storm was a little bit better, and you can see Egbert not really getting its army into shape with the completion of the 3rd base. That might be better, but Purple Wave will have a 4th base too, because also took the mineral only in base, and still Dark Templar are coming. Now Egbert though has found a target. Nice Storm going off, lots of damage done. Oh, and all these Marines with the Stim, without the medics, are so vulnerable to Storm, and this should just... Yeah, there you go, that's a lot of damage. And these 2 Marines are running for dear life, because a medic will not help you if there are 3 Dark Templar on your tail. Now, there is no more army left. Oh, there is a little bit of army actually here. There are 3 comsats now and a science vessel, so shouldn't really scan when there is a science vessel, but still a lot of pressure being brought to bear from the Protoss side of things, and Purple Wave is really cracking up the intensity of that pressure. What are we going to see? More tech? Are we going to see a Reaver perhaps? Not really sure. But now the Marines are in the... Oh, they're in the zone now, even with a Matrix. Hello, that's a lot of damage, and you can see that the gateway units have really no alternative course but just to run. The High Templar hasn't got enough energy for Storm! Oh yes, and a fair chunk of damage done to that science vessel too. And oh, Egbert really hasn't got its rally under control. That's not good. Dear oh dear. But there are so many more units coming. The barrack count must be through the roof. And more barracks being built as we speak. Egbert's got a lot of money, Purple Wave's got a lot of money too, but Zealots at this moment are not cutting it, so it needs to have some other kind of an army. And the Storms are... Where are the High Templar? Oh, and that's a lot of Zealots. So you might actually want to build some fire bats, and between all the stimming, there aren't all that many medics with full energy anymore. But the damage output of the Marines versus the Zealots. Purple Wave spending a lot of money on Zealots, but these Zealots, they don't really do anything. Occasionally a single Marine gets killed. Is there a Storm in this High Templar? Yes, there is one. And another one from the top. That's very well done. Nice to have 2 gateways at this expansion over here. But Egbert is going to do this. How do you call it? What's that book again? Starship Trooper style, the movie, which is very bad. The book's better, but then again, the film has got this concept of lumbering infantry, which is more fitting to the style of Egbert. Egbert is really... There is one long death train of reinforcements coming up. Purple Wave taking another base, but there is so much infantry. It's 80 versus 80, and it's just a bunch of Zealots. And these Zealots... They are not going to cut it anymore, because once there is... Oh, nice! Oh, the Storms! Good God! And still Egbert is keeping up with the production, not letting its army supply fall significantly below that of Purple. Oh, but the Storms versus this bio! You'd almost think that Purple Wave had some kind of a Storm upgrade with more damage per Storm or something like that. And now Egbert has found this base over here, and I think that's a good choice. Because this is a very narrow choke, which is hard to reach. And if... Oh, the storm! Yes! And then from the rear, an Archon and the entire Gateway army, and Egbert's army supply is plummeting. This base has been saved at the cost of 2 gateways, but that storm was totally worth it. Oh my good god. Now Egbert is rallying in Marines as fast as it can. It's trying to hold this position. And oh, the science vessel is dropping. And if there are going to be DTs, you'll need that science vessel. So you need to have it a little bit in the rear, because those silly Dark Templar have got... no, okay, there was an okay storm, but it wasn't bad, but didn't really all that much damage. But Egbert is really grinding its bio. Look at the blue soup over here. Wow, you've got to... It's almost like watching a Zerg play. And look at how fast this... Oh, look at the production tab. And these Marines, so they are done in a jiff. Oh, and it... Oh, the storms. Oh, God. Here comes some more. Oh, God! That is so lethal. But still, the Marines keep blasting. And even without a full complement of medics, the damage output of this bio ball is insane. The stinning goes on, and here comes another storm. And I don't care. Every storm seems to kill at least 10 units, but it doesn't really matter. The stream is unbroken. This production facility of Egbert, it's just pumping out Marines. There must be 10, 15 Marines at a single instant in production. And these high temp... the storm in the choke. It's glorious, but you are going to... once your storm's petered out, you need some kind of huge damage to... Oh, this Nexus is still alive somehow. Purple Wave is fighting really hard to hold this, but I don't know if it's going to work. Where are the Templar? There are no more Templar. There is a lot of gas in Purple Wave's bank. Purple Wave has been macroing its ass off. That's very good. Main 4, Egbert is out. Egbert has taken the main base. It's nearly out as well, so Purple Wave might yet prevail if it gets the macro situation converted into an army advantage. But again, here come the Marines. That's these okay storms, but you need clutch storms at this point, because this bio ball, the damage. And if this base falls, it's not the biggest loss for Purple Wave, but Purple Wave can't really afford it with all the units spent up in this base. And the Nexus, the probes fall, the Zealots come in for a flank again, but without a Templar complement, I don't think it's going to work. Snipe that bloody Nexus, please. If you are going to retreat, just burn it and then retreat. Throw 10 Marines because... Oh, well, that's not worth it anymore. It's not worth it. Egbert has got this base and now is macroing happily away at this end of the map. That's a pretty ballsy Nexus to take. Oh, and another great storm. I missed that. But Egbert is really making Purple Wave pay. And Purple... every storm seems to kill 10 or 20 infantry. That's really something. And now perhaps the Nexus is going to fall, but all the money has been drained from this base, so it's too late. It really is too late, and... that's a lot of High Templar, and this base should be quickly blasted, and then you should move out. And I think this map is right advantageous for Egbert, because there are a couple of mineral onlys, and Egbert is one of these bots who can take these island bases. No need to stim over here. And there you go. That was 20 stims for nothing. That's the energy of 3 medics there for you. And whoa! That's not the plan. Storming your own units like that, and Egbert has got 100 supply in bio, hasn't got it grouped, and it's got to bring this army down the ramp. There are no medics here. The map is awash in storms. There are so many High Templar, but they are too far off. And now Egbert is really rolling. And here comes some more storms. Hello. Should implement some storm dodging, because although it's pretty fun to watch for us in this game, it's going to be pretty painful to eat all those storms. Egbert is losing, well, just lost 100 army supply in that battle. but washed out a Protoss base, and now we'll be under pressure from a couple of High Templar, which are going to storm a well-saturated base. That's one. Oh, and a medic over there, but that was pretty much the end of this base, and now Egbert is rolling its troops in from over here. And now you can see that the eco is falling, and if you don't really protect your bases, you are going to suffer enormously. And this Archon knows what to do with SCVs, but here comes the unholy infantry of Egbert. Upgrade-wise, 3-3 with range, with stim. Medic energy might even be a good upgrade to get at this point. Because these medics, they take up supply, and they start with a little bit of extra energy as well if they spawn, if they get created, so that's good. Egbert now on the Purple Wave laying down blankets of storms. That saturation storm bombing, that should be prohibited by any kind of Brood War Geneva Convention. And every bio unit which shows its ugly face gets a storm right up there. And now Egbert is on the defensive with only 16 supply. Not really good at defending. And Purple Wave, my friend, what macro. Taking another base, and it knows that these bases are critical. And to stop Egbert's income is virtually reduced to one base now. And this one sort of shut down. Now, yeah, what can you do? A couple of bunkers might be nice, because you've basically got free minerals everywhere. Bunker on the high ground versus this kind of gateway army might be cool, especially since bunkers don't suffer any damage from storms. But now, with this army disparity, I am going to give the game to Purple Wave, going to call the GG. Whew. Okay, small breather. And now one of the other contenders for... wow, Egbert. I can't get over Egbert losing that game. There was so much bio, but it's just being... with a couple of dropships, or with more prioritizing of Nexus instead of enemy units and mulling about, that might really... Egbert is not so far away from getting his game plan together as I thought, as I feared earlier. So this game, it's Lukas Moravec versus Killabot. And Killabot going for a hatch 11 pool, while Lukas is going for a killed probe and a quick call with a gateway and some units to pester. This is going to be a sunken, but it's rather late. There is a thingy, a zealot already, and Killabot has to evacuate. Oh, that's a silly way to lose your first zealot. Got stuck somehow. But some mining time lost for Killabot, and Killabot now has got one sunken. Oh, and going might. Oh, Lukas, losing your first zealot and first goon to a sunken for nothing. It's not good. So, a new gateway coming up. That will probably be a Robo Bay or a Citadel, and it is a Robo Bay. That's good. And this will be, well, another gateway, all of one base. So Killer taking its sweet time. Has it got a lair too? No, it hasn't. So drone count for Killer isn't all there either. And this has even found a spot to just harm that poor Hydra den. And this is a rather expensive way to pursue one goon, because if there is one goon, there are going to be more goons. And goons have pretty good micro, not only by Lukas, but also by Lukas. Then again, there are just a little too many Hydras, and Hydras have got the speed, nearly got the range. And now, I'd say, well, this game is really wacky, because units just stand still in the middle of the map for... That's really odd. And Killer is fighting, but occasionally units just freeze, and that's wacky. A worker count for Killer hasn't risen, and for Lukas hasn't risen either. This is just whack. got frozen units all over the place, and only when the Overlord dies they get committed to try and stop it or avenge it, more likely. Now Killabot though running straight into the natural, and there are just too many Hydras for these poor goons to contend. Should try and hold the ramp. Is there a cannon? No, but with four goons and the support of these buildings it might just work, but these goons are too what the bloody hell is this? It's almost like watching a very old Zerg bot called Adrian Sternmuller, which used to play a lot of Hydras, but they got stuck all the time as well. But now the Hydras are all over this, and Lukas is going to be booted from the game. And that's that, I suppose. So, GG. And now something completely different. It's A-Spurt versus Steamhammer, and As is supposedly is an acronym. If my there we go. If my laptop is working, let's look at A-Spurt, because A-Spurt is an acronym of something. Combat Simulator ASS. As. That's not really the best name for a combat simulator, but well, it sort of sticks. Perhaps. Let's see what it's going to do. For this game we shall focus on the combat simulator. So building wise, that's a nice setup. And you can see all the Zerglings of Steamhammers are just going to get funneled into the bunker and shot. And then I don't think that this is the best combat sim, just to run Marines into bunches of Zerglings, but you never know. And that's rather wacky. Steamhammer is going to find its macro swing, going for a 2-hatch play on very few workers, might be 2-hatch muter, and now A-Spurt is building some fire bats, which is good considering the number of Zerglings. I hear Stim's done. Oh, that's good. We've got some kind of a lurker play coming. But Terran has got a potent force, and now look at how well these fire bats can cope with the Zerglings. So lurkers will be coming, and while I like this base, I've got this feeling that Steamhammer is not all that quick with the macro. A-Spurt has got the natural up and running, and A-Spurt is on even workers, so that doesn't really work at this point. So lurker aspect is done. Are there any Hydras? Almost. Oh, and there is almost one lurker as well. So, oh, the first lurker rocking up. Are there comsats? Yes, there are comsats. Oh, at least one. This bunker is in the way of the other one. But this Terran army is going to roll, and you are going to need a hell of a lot of lurkers and Zerglings to try and stop that. Poor Marine got cut off. Oh. Okay, good decision, but might do with another scan, and now you're all messed up. So here comes a fire. Look at that fire bat killing units. Wow. That lurker is very lucky to be alive, but I think that Steamhammer now with the third base up and with these two lurkers in control of the game is in a good position, and this is rather a mistake on the part of Egbert, A-Spurt. No, I'm going to call it Bert. I don't want to say ass all the time. So Bert is losing some medics, and as far as combat simulators goes, it should probably try and include cloaked or burrowed units, as the comsat is now dead, and there is no more scan, there is no turret. So that's the GG, Steamhammer prevailing with a lurker build. And another thing... oh well, let's do something completely different. I was sent a game by Antigua or Aruyan versus CrazyAI, and CrazyAI of course is pretty gosu, hard to beat, and let's see how Antigua is trying to do that. being rather late with a plan. Hatch first, then gas, then an expansion. CrazyAI is starting the war with a bunker, or there is no war as this is not a TVP. A lot of, oh, that's quite a lot of bio. I don't know where CrazyAI is going. Is CrazyAI going to play bio actually? Looks like it. A couple of marines, a couple of soldiers. And what have we here? We've got one sunken. And then we've got a spire which gets scanned. And now the marines are going on tour of the nearest base. Perhaps CrazyAI wants to expand there. CrazyAI is building more forces and is now trying... Oh, sorry, I missed that. They are pretty quick, these muters. Any upgrades brewing, +1 attack is brewing. And CrazyAI, of course, will suffer from that, probably. And that's really committed to the muter play. More muters being added to the death ball. Now we've got about 9. That's quite a force. And yeah, there we go. That's 3 kills right there for you. And this, well, this marine's pretty ballsy, but not going to enjoy it very... grouping... Oh, well, you can take that on. And reinforcement being cut down, and this expeditionary force is stuck in the middle of the map. So CrazyAI's bio is not as good as its mech, and as its mech is pretty much the best in the AI world right now. That can be forgiven. Now +1's nearly done, and CrazyAI, what are you going to do? Should take a natural a little bit sooner. And now the muters are coming after the scouting SCV. Always a good idea to clear that up from your base. But now we've got a muter cloud of 13 stacked muter, or not really stacked muter. Oh, and flying right over the enemy army. But now appear to be going for another target. Do you suggest another target? A military target? Please name the system. Oh, and before the air defenses are operational... Oh, that's really wacky. There must be something really off with the server today, because... Or last week, I see all kinds of units idling in weird places. And CrazyAI is not playing as well as it could. We've got 2 sunkens, a handful of muters, and the muters over here are doing a lot of damage. Killing some stray units, not getting damaged themselves. And that's a pretty valid game plan. Just try and harass. You've also always got these outlying bases and units which can be damaged. And I don't know why Antigua is having all these muters all over the place, just idling. This is a pretty effective run by. Scans going off, and the muters well, should start +1 armor as well, probably. CrazyAI is... What's it going to do? You can see the difference in APM. Antigua is at about 200, so that's quite a nice amount of APM. Is going to try and micro with 2 control groups of muters, look like. This is 1. Finding a free depot, killing a free depot. Oh, and totally ignoring all the SCVs which are being transferred to over here. I don't know why that is. And this expeditionary force of CrazyAI's is not all that dangerous, I must say, and I don't know why it's standing around for so long. And this base is really lucky that these muters have got these depots in mind. Oh, some little micro errors, but then again, Antigua's got so many muters that it's not really worth microing anymore. Just trying to not botch the micro. Oh, and catching a vessel, that's a good one. Muter micro might be some latency issues. And now with 3 sunkens and some supporting units somewhere. Oh, here they are. Might be good. But now CrazyAI's got 2 bases, and Antigua is really lacking the APM to keep up. Oh god, we're going to see Guardians, that's pretty cool. Oh, that's a lot of Guardians. Versus Bio, that might work quite well, and CrazyAI's still got to make the switch to mech, but here comes some air units, probably going to be a Wraith. And with 2 base income, CrazyAI's in a good position. Oh, and with the Irradiate and the Wraith. Are there any Mutas left? No, probably not. Oh, yes, here they are, but they're rather late, and a lot of Guardians died in the process. That's unfortunate, and now the Guardians are coming into their own, and even though there are only 3 or 4, they are doing quite a bit of damage, and the Mutas should just stay out of that. Nice Irradiate, but the Guardians, they do so much damage. Overlord speed now starting. And CrazyAI really ought with the Mutas to keep this vessel cloud down, as far as it is a cloud, because these Irradiates can really wreak havoc with your Mutas and your Guardians. So now they're coming in after the vessels. CrazyAI losing 2 vessels, but CrazyAI's got 2 bases, so won't be too concerned, and just killed a fair number of Guardians. But now the Muta cloud. And you can see these Marines are really blasting hard. CrazyAI not retreating, correctly assessing that if you run, you are going to die anyway. So you had better fight as well. And oh, look at the damage output of these Marines and this Goliath. The Mutas are suffering horribly, and CrazyAI is trying to establish some kind of a bridgehead with the anti-air units. Not really working, but there are wraiths over this base, and that says something for CrazyAI, that it can fight a pitched battle versus Mutas over here. And you should have brought an Overlord earlier, but that's very unfortunate. And now the drones are going to die regardless. One runs out of energy and gets killed, and the other one gets overloaded and killed as well. So Antigua hanging in there, but CrazyAI taking opportunity of a distraction on the part of Antigua to take another base and kill the Vulture. That's very good. So let's take stock. We've had a pretty interesting game. CrazyAI sitting back behind a couple of bases. Problem for Antigua is that there will be a formidable anti-air army constructed in the middle of the map, and wraiths will be added. Of course they are expensive, but that doesn't really matter. Oh, and this is going to be a nice attack on the natural. That's pretty good. The natural has been taken pretty late. So these Guardians can do quite a bit of damage, especially versus these Goliaths. And the Mutas are staying in there to try and contest. Yeah, there we go. The science vessels and the wraiths. But it's pretty hard to fight a well micro-Terran army, and there is no doubt about it. Even as human versus AI, CrazyAI's army can be said to be decently well microed. So CrazyAI under a lot of pressure on 3 bases, one of which is sort of shut down. And now more Guardians are being morphed. But CrazyAI's got to just play anti-air, and that's something it can do quite well. But lots of damage being done regardless. I think that while it's playing bio, it's not giving priority to repairing the Goliaths, and the Goliaths are dishing out the damage, so might do that a little bit more aggressively, just repair those Goliaths, and that is a ballsy place to take another base. CrazyAI, you should know that. But with all the command centers flashing, oh, the base is mined out. Now Antigua's got this base over here, trying to immediately protect it and only then mine from it. And I think that with one of these things is going to be a spore. And Antigua's really sweating it and breaking 300 APM. And this game has been going on for a while. It's about 20 minutes, and that's an awful long time to play. Now CrazyAI trying to defend this base, or succeeding in it, unless there is going to be a ground attack. There it is, one Hydra. CrazyAI's pretty good on this end of the map. Now there is a Guardian, a handful of Zerglings just rolling up here. CrazyAI is in a quandary because this force over here wants to do something but can't, and the force over here isn't ready yet. So these Zerglings do a lot of damage, and especially once the Guardians start blasting. Now the army commits, tries to commit to defend, but the Guardians are over the high ground, so it's very dangerous to try and take this. And Antigua doesn't take any half measures, just wiping out the base completely, not leaving the command center alone. And this base is now CrazyAI's hope of staying in the game, because although the natural's taken, this base is rather exposed, and CrazyAI's army is just puny at this point. And Antigua is really rolling with the Guardians, and although there are a lot of irradiates in there, Crazy is having difficulty placing them for some reason. Yes, there is one, that's good, but you've got more energy. And just, if you run in there with these two science vessels, just place 4 irradiates in there, it's going to significantly weaken the enemy army, especially if you try and take out the Muta clump. That's good. And Crazy are losing a bit of the main, but killing a lot of army in return. And now the Mutas and the Guardians, they take solace in tearing down the last 2 barracks over here. Crazy are setting up shop in this base there. And now Antigua's got only 41 workers. That's not the most, but it means you can mine an awfully long time from the bases you have got. So now trying to, yes, there we go. The army gets contracted around this base, so Crazio had really better rather enforce this base, and some units are marching up to it, but it's going to need a lot of fighting power to try and stop that. Crazio's army is really rather small, and where is it? There is a lot of it in a natural choke, but at this position there is nothing there, and this base is going to be lost. These Guardians are doing so much damage. Air attack and air armor are being, or air armor 3 is already done, and air attack 2 is just started. So Antigua had a pretty good plan over here, and now these Mutas, they don't even wait for the Guardians anymore. They just go, well, blast it, just fight and kill stuff. And now the Guardians are there, and Crazio has got a huge army, but is not really sure that it wants to defend. So, although there isn't really a theme to this broadcast, I so far like the games immensely. These Guardians are doing a ton of damage, and this poor Vulture is not going to go anywhere. But there you go. So, Lone Hydra over here, and more bases being taken by Antigua. Antigua's worker count is still 40. And good luck, have fun attacking. Oh, talking about an oversaturated natural. Hey, there it is. Plague might be nice, but there is so much anti-air that Antigua doesn't really succeed in getting anything done here. Crazy has got a good army. It's got nearly double the army supply, and it's all anti-air, or mostly the old tank, or I saw one Vulture, and the Vulture's over here, I think. And here come some Zerglings, and they're going to find this base completely undefended. The Zerglings, have they got any upgrades? Yes, they've got most of the necessary upgrades, and they depopulate the base quite quickly. So that's another thing where human players are just faster than AI players. They can quickly assess if a base is defenseless and quickly whip 30 Zerglings around to try and kill it, and actually kill it. And that demonstrates that although the AI has got 4-5k APM, it's not necessarily faster than the human player. And Antigua, this game has been going for half an hour, is maintaining an APM of about, well, I'd say 200 on average, and that's pretty good. And now Crazio is trying to harass this base a little bit, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter too much. Here comes an Overlord, and it puzzles me that run. Oh, that's a nice drop, but with 2 Sunkens, it doesn't really. Yeah, it doesn't really matter too much. These Goliaths are a threat. Oh, and now Crazy is on the move with a huge army. And Antigua's got 3k money in the bank, but isn't really in possession of an army anymore, so that's a pity. And Crazio doing things with 1 base, but it's used to that. And now we've got 100 army supply rocking up to this natural. And there is quite a bit of damage potential in that mixed bio Goliath army. There are even going to be some tanks, and now a science vessel overhead. So I think that Crazy should just go for it, kill this base, kill the technology, and set back Antigua for a long time. And harassment here is still in progress, and Antigua is just feeling the heat on 2 or 3 locations, now making Zerglings to try and stop this, but Zerglings aren't the ideal composition to try and fight this army. Now Crazio, luckily for Antigua, is sacrificing some units, trying to break the Sunkens, but these Zerglings, they sort of evaporate. And Crazio is, whoa, on the move with a lot of, is going to long distance mine over here. Should try and fly a command center. That would really be a nice trick for an AI Terran. And that is going to be one of the 50 workers long distance mining from the middle of the map. It's to be hoped for CrazyAI that Antigua doesn't pick up on that, but Antigua's got different problems, namely a well-equipped Terran army with decent upgrades in its main base, losing all the technology, the spire, the hive, the spawning pool, and Antigua is now set back to the Middle Ages and is quickly trying to rebuild. Oh, it's got 2 spires, that's always a good idea to have 2. And CrazyAI has, well, fought itself back into the game, but it's still rather dangerous because it's really dependent on this slow ferrying in on units, and the production tab sort of reflects that. And now the army comes for this base over here, and I think that Antigua with a couple of guardians can hold this. At least had Antigua built a couple of spores, and that's really... there is only 1 spore and it's right at the back, so it doesn't really work. And now the tanks are ranging not 1 but both Sunkens, and that's... ooh, that's pretty painful. Now Antigua's down to just 2 bases. CrazyAI still with the long distance mining and even finding time and money to repair its Wraith. That is really a glorious game by CrazyAI. Irradiates doing a lot of damage, and this is another base loss. So CrazyAI... Roar! The Muta's taking a lot of damage for just a flyby. CrazyAI needs another base. It needs it now. It needed it some time ago, because this long distance mining thing is just so vulnerable, and these Mutas are trying to sweep around the bend to the main base. But even in the main base there is just... oh, and now the long distance mining has been found out, so it will be vulnerable. But the 2 tanks are rolling up to the Sunkens, and that is going to be painful. And it's to be hoped for Antigua that CrazyAI is going to lose a lot of Goliaths. Looks like Antigua might just win this. And now it's over, because there is no more army standing between Antigua and the long distance mining operation, which will mean CrazyAI is starved. There you go, that's no more minerals for you, Mr. CrazyAI. And Antigua, with a last daring push, just barely scraped out of this game. And CrazyAI, CrazyAI, well, it's fighting hard, but at times it just needs that command center and needs to defend it. It took the third a couple of times without properly defending it. And the human player sees 1 bunker, a couple of turrets and a siege tank, and thinks, well, 30 Zerglings ought to fix this, and just send them over. And there you go. So now CrazyAI is back. Oh, is it saving for something? No, it's not really. It's trying to make more anti-air units, but Antigua will not let this game slip another time. Taking another base might build a fat round of workers. Oh, there you go. Fat round consisting of... oh, there is some more. Okay, that's well done. Because CrazyAI's basically shut down, and although you've got this under control, you really ought to keep an eye on these other bases too. But although CrazyAI's long distance mining, it's not much, and Antigua with 3 regular bases is in a much better position to take this game now, slowly rebuilding the economy. And this game has been going on for 40 minutes, so Antigua must be really sweating by this point. And all the work is being sent towards the new base. And the Zerglings are going to shut down the long distance mining. Probably. Perhaps. Not quite sure. Oh, they are shutting it down because the SCVs, they just don't dare. Oh, and here come the Zerglings. So CrazyAI can't defend. Its army is stationary. And stationary. And there you go. That pretty much was the game, and CrazyAI, oh, it's got a lot of fighting power really left in it. So you can't just roll in there and mop it up, because there are still a lot of Goliaths, still some infantry, but with these Guardians overhead, and especially without the income of another base, CrazyAI is not long for this world. Oh, sorry about that. And Antigua, well, I'm just going to call the GG. Very well played by both players, I must say. So, last game of today will be an unexpected one. We've got the Locutus clone or successor and a Proxy. Proxy has been updated, and I got a couple of recommendations of Proxy games, and I'm only able to cast one because it's going to take a while. I must say, it's going to take a long time. This broadcast has been going on for quite some time, and the games have been good, so I do not regret it, but I just can't cast all the games and keep up with what's happening in the world, with all the human versus AI games and the bot updates. I've got to make choices, so only one proxy game, and let's hope I pick the right one from all the ones I've been recommended. So, nice, really nice SimCity by Dutchian. Dutchian going for, oh, not really sure what it's going for. Proxy going for a couple of lost Zerglings and for a lot of hatches. That's pretty good. And lots of drones as well. That's also very good, because if the enemy is committing to Forge Fast Expand, it's going to take a while before it can actually project any force on the map. And by that, whoa, what the... In-base hatches galore, lots of drones, still more drones, no sunkens, and only now a handful of combat units, and that's right on time, because by now Dutchian has got 2 fully operating bases with the necessary income and of course some tech buildings as well. So let's see the progression of both army supplies. Dutchian at 12, Proxy at 6. Are there any sunkens? No, not all that many. Hydras are messed up again. They can't really, and this one goon is doing a ton of damage. But now the 4th base is started, and Proxy is chasing a Zealot with a small contingent of forces. These goons, oh no, not again with a goon stuck in there. And that may be a very good SimCity, but with only a 1 unit gap, if that 1 unit gets stuck, as we've seen happen a couple of times now, it's very difficult to get out of there, and if you make a concave over here, the units can only filter out 1 at a time. But there is that Locutus Goon Micro, which is so very deadly, and Proxy is macroing like a madman. It's really something, but these goons are just so good, they kill any Hydra basically for free, and Proxy will need units. Good news for Proxy, lots of income, lots of units, lots of hatches, lots of overlords, so doing okay. And these goons ought to be careful not to get pinned to the wall, because then they can no longer micro as well as they could in the open, but still dealing a lot of damage. And these Hydras are just messed up. Macro, okay, micro could be better. These goons aren't even touched. The Hydras appear to be not even firing, and meanwhile goons are still being transferred into this base, which is a mess. So Dutchian sending up more goons. Good. Upgrades. Look at the Zerg. Okay, but Zerg, oh, finally sort of liberating this base. And Dutchian has to be careful not to let this Hydra thing get out of hand, because if a Hydra army is getting too big, it's very hard to stop it with goons, no matter how good your micro is. And these goons appear to be stuck, and the Hydras, they should not take this fight. Oh god, and they should... This retreat's pretty bad. So combat micro is one thing, but retreat micro is something differently and completely. And oh, Dutchian is getting so many free kills. It's not even fair anymore at this point. And retreating is, well, the noble art of retreating. It's very hard to do. Dutchian now with another base, so it's 3 bases versus 4. This base has been made operational, and I feel that these combat simulators ought to do things on a little bit grander scale, so you just don't take into consideration what happens if I win this battle, but what happens if I have to retreat. Do I fight? Do I run? Because if you run, you just throw away all your units, and Dutchian had to be really rather more careful not to get pinned down again. And that's something else you need to take into consideration. Does my army have an exit if reinforcements arrive from my enemy? Do I have a way of getting out? And that was a pretty good fight. Proxy with a tiny army, very tiny army, is doing quite well, but then in retreat loses the entire advantage, because these blasted units, they don't know how to properly retreat. They take a step and they stop and they stop and they stop and they get killed. It's so... oh, it's hard to watch. I know how hard it is to code on AI. I'm not really... but it's so hard to see how these poor Zerg units, they fall to tatters, and this base is going to be stamped out again by 6 goons, really. and it's only when these Hydras are in a position to pin down the goons with their backs to the wall they can fight efficiently. So that is what Zerg is about. Should flank more and should place a couple of Sunkens at least, just to 1-2, and then you've got a little bit of time to send reinforcements and do some clever stuff. Meanwhile, Proxy macroing. And this setup, I shouldn't poke too hard at it, because these goons are just getting stuck and there are more goons behind it, so just leave it alone. But these Hydras are in for a beating, and now in for a beating versus a Reaver. And the retreating is... it's the same. So, you can see why Locutus, even if it loses 10 goons at the onset of a battle, may, in pursuing the enemy, gain a major advantage. And Proxy needs larger armies, needs to get stuff together and just commit. Just run in, throw away 50 supply, but just get something done. And this retreating style is not worth it. It's really not worth it, I feel. Archon getting killed. And you can see Dutchian winning with the goons again. Supplies are bifurcating wildly. And although Proxy's macro is good... Oh, nice run by. Worker defense not as good as it could have been. And that may be the saving grace of Dutchian. Just tear down a base before it's killed, or send 30 supply of Zerglings. What's 30 supply of Zerglings? Not much. Just send it over here, kill a base, be done with it. But meanwhile, Dutchian is steamrolling the map. It's got more than double the army supply. Oh, and now, if Proxy is fighting, it's very deadly. It almost looks like cherry pie in that respect. But Locutus is mopping up bases, killing workers. Worker disparity 2-1, army disparity something similar. And now Proxy is trying to contain Dutchian's army, but the damage is just not there, and Proxy cannot commit. Proxy killed the base, but it's going to lose one as well. This is just 2 cannons. It's not the world. Just send in 10 Zerglings, a couple of Hydras, and it's done. But that's very hard to do. It's very hard to make that kind of calculation and actually make it work in a real game. Now that is the similar situation. If Dutchian has to retreat, it's losing massively as well. So Proxy now with the army lead, actually, that's really rather wicked, wacky, strange, I should say. What's Dutchian making? Lots of stuff, but focusing on eco. And this, just send, don't do this. There is a brace of these things called Reavers, and they kill Hydras for fun. Don't over-fixate on this natural choke. Take the expansion, leave them dry. That's another game plan, and that was your 10 army supply lead has now been turned into a 3-to-1 ratio disadvantage, and that's just not working. And if there are Reavers, just move a couple of screens away. They are... whoa. These carrots never cease to amaze me. But Proxy's macro is good. There is only one word for that. It's very good. And while Dutchian is retreating, it's losing massively as well. Losing these 2 Reavers to a stray band of Hydras is just not on. But again, there is a goon stuck in the opening, and that's so frustrating. Proxy, however, macroing happily on. And it's to be hoped that Proxy will leave this natural choke alone and go for an expansion, because the expansions are just defended by 2 cannons, and this is a whole different kind of worms you're tearing into. But so far so good. Oh, and this Hydra thing is cutting down reinforcing probes. That's also good, and that will delay the enemy, but the enemy has got better sources of income than just this, or more sources of income than just this one base, and meanwhile you're losing a hatchery of its own and getting nothing done here. So Dutchian finally getting back into the middle of the map, killing units. This base completely undefended. A couple of Sunkens would have been nice, but no. Just try to macro and bank on your superiority in numbers. Here you go, couple of goons. They lose some, but they fight this beautiful rearguard action, just macro in one step, stutter stepping, killing a lot of Hydras. And that's good, but apparently these Hydras can only kill a base if it is completely undefended, and if there are 2 Sunkens, very hard to deal with that. And again, going after the natural choke, that's so hard to watch. It's really... these AIs, they are so over fixated on killing the natural choke for reasons completely beyond me. Oh, these Hydras have got found the courage to kill that base over here, and it's just 4 goons for crying out loud. Proxy, but Proxy is really shaping up into a monster. But just commit, kill it. Just go after it, murder it, kill it. Dutchian knows how to do it. Just march up, 4 goons, kill a base, commit, lose the 4 goons, but if the enemy's losing a base, why not? So now Dutchian is, well, out of workers basically. Lots of workers lost, but still income from multiple bases, so looking okay. Proxy is, oh, that's something like a flank, and that's very well done. And now it's Dutchian's turn to lose bases. And carriers versus Hydras is not the best really, but can be funny. Oh, and now there is no more Reaver and there are no more units, so Proxy is going to slap down this natural choke, perhaps. Or not. Yes, there it goes, and if it kills this pylon, it's going to be in an okay position. And now Proxy... Oh, that was so tense. Dutchian, with all the harassment, didn't get its army together, and now Proxy is everywhere, and Proxy's... immediately, once it's feeling the pressure leave off, it can make so many workers. And now the map is awash in Zerg. And it's like that scene in the Matrix where there are so many squids entering Zion. Oh, that was a horrible scene, but... well, it sort of looks like that. And now we've got multiple squads, one attacking here, one attacking there, and even a 3rd squad attacking up here. There is an assimilator over there, but it's not working, and the worker count for Proxy is pretty good. So, taking down Dutchian, quite a feat. And can't really find much fault in Dutchian's gameplay. So, better look out for the next Proxy update, because it's already a murdering Zerg bastard of a bot, and I will enjoy watching it grow. So this is the GG for the last game of the 100th broadcast of the Student StarCraft AI Tournament weekly report. Thank you all the coders and everyone watching. For now I say goodbye and hope to see you again next week.